Welcome back to JB Reviews. As you guys saw in the title, here's an update on the Wagoneer. So to kind of start off with what happened in the last video, if you haven't watched it, we noticed that we kept getting this error message on our dash. So every time we braked, stopped, it would pop up. Very annoying, and it has a chime with it that you cannot turn off. And we didn't know what it was. It said that the rear seats need to be checked because they weren't securely fastened, although we had checked them and we pretty much knew that they were fine, but the SUV didn't know that, so we kept getting that really annoying chime. We drove it for about 5 days before we decided to call service because I was hoping it would go away on its own, and it didn't. So we took it into Larry H. Miller. Special shout out to the sales department. The service department was out like 2 or 3 weeks, they said. They couldn't get it in. And so we were like, oh well, we'll just wait. But they were able to get it in for us basically within about 2 days. But unfortunately, it's been sitting there for a week because they're so backed up. It's a holiday, so I understand that. I worked at a car dealership. I understand how it works. And yeah, it's been really frustrating owning this Wagoneer because as soon as we drove off the lot, that error message happened with 64 miles on the odometer. But I think the most frustrating thing about this issue is how it pops up on the dash. Like the latches are connected to the ECU, ECM, whatever you want to call it. So whenever you brake, and I'm talking about every time you brake, not intermittently, every time you brake at a stoplight or for whatever reason, it would literally pop up. And it was highly annoying. I don't know why the seats had to be connected to the ECU, BCM, whatever you want to call it, because it is so frustrating when you cannot at least tell the SUV that, hey, there's nothing wrong with the seats, stop coming up, at the very least. But as I mentioned in the last video, you couldn't even hit the buttons to release the seat, so that was even more frustrating. And I would say the most disheartening thing about the Wagoneer is just how bad it is, because when I went back to service, the service tech that I worked with, I worked with a couple of different ones, but a lot of them were saying that, oh man, the Wagoneer's having a bunch of problems. Like there's a lot of electrical issues that are happening with them. And I felt like that was kind of silly for them to say. Like, I don't really care about that personally, but for people who might be jumping over from GMC or another brand, every manufacturer has problems with their cars. I don't care what it is. Like even people in the last video were like, oh, you should have got a Yukon, you should have got an Expedition. Heck no. You can't tell me that those cars don't have problems. Anyone that lies and say they don't. I used to work for Chevy, and we had many Traverses come back with engine problems. We had some Tahoes come back, a couple of Silverados. We had a Duramax diesel replaced. I mean, granted, I drive a GMC right now, but my point is, it doesn't matter what you drive. They all have problems. The Wagoneer is in a first model year, and I will explain to you guys why this thing is having a lot of electrical issues at the end of this video. But a tech should not tell you, especially one that works at a Jeep store, that these things are having a bunch of problems. Like, for example, they did have one back there that was getting an engine replaced. And so, again, that was kind of disheartening. Now, granted, it was a Grand Wagoneer, so I was like, oh, thank God, I have the 5.7. but still, it doesn't make you feel better when you hear that. Let me show you guys some footage. I was driving through the back lot here. I want you guys to see this. Hold on one second. Alrighty, so here's one Wagoneer in for service. Although this one doesn't have a tag in it, so there may not be anything wrong with that one. But on this side, let's see. There's mine on the right. You probably saw it. Yeah, mine is sitting right there. And then there's one here, number 3, number 4, and there's actually one over there, number 5 over there, number 6, that gray one, and then there's one right there, number 7. It's just not a good sign personally. Like, this is one dealership. But yeah, these things just came out, like I said, last year. So it's not like they've have 50,000 on the ground right now. I mean, they probably have maybe like closer to 10 or 15,000. I'm just guessing. I will say some of those could have been in for normal maintenance, things like that. But to see 7 Wagoneers back there when they just came out, that is a little nerve-wracking. But the last thing I want to point out here is this. Yes, the Wagoneers are having issues. The tech did say that Jeep is actually going to be coming out with a overhaul with the system. So one thing that I do know about the Grand Cherokee L, the WK, and the Wagoneer is they have a new body control module. That body control module is why I think these things are having a lot of the issues that you're seeing, especially with electrical components. And I think once they do that update, I really do believe that these will have a better shot at being more reliable. I've had 3 Grand Cherokees, Dodge Durango. I've had a Ram 1500, I've had a 2500, and I had a 3500. I've had a Dodge Charger Hellcat, and down the Wagoneer. The Wagoneer is the only one I've had go back to service. The only one. I've had 3 Grand Cherokees that I drove pretty hard. And the Dodge Durango was probably the best one I had. All I did on that thing was literally just oil changes and tire rotations. The other ones I might have did a few little small things. Like I think I had to replace a fuse in one. I had to replace a wire for something in another one or something like that. And I think actually I might have been the cause of the problem too, if I could be completely honest. But for the most part, that Dodge Durango was a champ. Like I drove that thing hard and it got pretty good gas miles. I got probably 20 to 21 miles to the gallon, you know, mixed driving. And one time I drove down to South Carolina from Maryland and got like 27 miles to the gallon. And that was at the pump too. So that was pretty darn good. But I think once they do that overhaul, I think that the Wagoneers will be a lot better and a lot of the issues that you're seeing are going to subside. But let's go ahead and go pick up the Wagoneer. They did call me today, so I did want to show you guys what's wrong with it. They told me over the phone, but I'd rather just read it to you. So let's go ahead and pick it up. We'll take it home. And as you guys know, I am going to be putting some new wheels on it. And I also have another update I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to wait and just do it all in one video. So I apologize. You're not going to see the wheels in this video. But I promise you, by Friday, you'll see the whole car. And I think you guys will be happy to see it all together. Alrighty, so here it is. So they saw that the odometer was blinking, checked codes, and found active code U0246. Lost communication with power folding seat module. And B2204-87. ECU configuration mismatch, missing message. Found folding seat module is unresponsive. Checked fuses, and fuses are good. Remove rear seat and quarter panel to access folding seat module. Holy smokes. Checked power and ground and found A131 is only at 1 volt. Checked at XY7048 and both wires at 12 volt there. Continued diagnostics and found faulty wiring between XY7048 and folding seat module connector. Repaired faulty wiring and module is now online. Performed BCM body control module. Look at that. Restore configuration and odometer is no longer blinking. Test drove vehicle and found no further issues. So they fixed the issue with the Wagoneer. So you saw it again, BCM. About a year ago, I spoke with one of my friends in Maryland. His name's Elu. He's a master tech. He works at Tate Chrysler in Frederick, Maryland. If you want your car looked at, he's the only person I will let touch my cars. He loves jobs like this. He likes looking for electrical issues. I'll put a video at the end of this one where he tore out an entire Grand Cherokee interior to figure out what was wrong with it. And he found that a mouse has been eating through all the wires. Like he loves those types of jobs. And one thing that he told me back then was the Grand Cherokees and the Wagoneers are going to have issues because of the new BCM. He said that's going to be the main culprit to a lot of the problems that these things are having. And as you see, they had to go reset something in that system. And there's going to be a big update in 2023 for the body control module. Once they do that, I think the Grand Cherokee L's and the Grand Cherokee 2-row and the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer is going to be a lot more reliable, and it will fix a lot of the issues. And that's what the service writer here said too. So I'm looking forward to that update. I'm probably going to go ahead and get on the list to try to get in early to get all this stuff done. But I hope you guys liked the video. Stay tuned. Next video I do on the Wagoneer, I'm going to show you guys the wheels, and then I'm going to show you guys the other update I'm going to be doing to it. And I will do a full walk around on it too, so I will go around some of the features. And what's neat about my Wagoneer is it has no options except for the paint code. So everything that you see on it is standard. See you guys on the next video.